Here we go. I wanted to do one of my 20-minute vinyasa classes and share it to my YouTube. You don't need any equipment, just your yoga mat and your undivided attention. What I love about vinyasa is that it's just a unique approach and you can build your flow as you go. You have the opportunity to hit different postures and see how that affects your breathing and your stamina. So that's it. I usually use the Nike training app as well. So that's where I'm basically searching for the workout prior to starting. But before we get into it, just make sure that you do this workout for you, meaning you're paying attention to your breath and how it feels when you're stretching and you're doing certain movements. And with that, you'll be able to grow. It doesn't have to look exactly how mine is. You don't have to push yourself further than what your body wants to naturally do. That's my favorite thing about yoga, that is individually for me. And with me simultaneously studying diction, I'm learning my breath and all that it can do. And if I use my breath efficiently while I'm working out, the movements are kind of effortless. So let's just walk through this. We're going to start by lying on our backs and we're going to do some gentle spinal twists. Just letting the knees fall over to the right as you look to your left. We're going to do everything on both sides. This posture specifically is influencing your breath. So it's really moving the breath into the lower belly and you can feel it rising and falling. I've always had teachers tell me that if you look at a baby and like how their stomach is, or toddlers, like they're breathing perfectly, perfection. So I'm always thinking about that when I'm breathing, making sure I'm not forcing it, but I'm allowing the breath to go in and out. Something I also love about this posture is that it influences the deepest level of my nervous system. I have anxiety a lot. That's also why I started to study yoga to help me with my anxiety. And with being able to breathe in this posture, I'm getting closer and closer to the present moment. So I'm not really focusing on juggling the many tasks that I'm constantly juggling. And I could just feel my way back through the center. So we're going to even everything out and do everything on both sides. Fall into one side and gently gazing over the other. And these are just spinal twists. And these are good because our spines is like a sponge, like spinal disc. And we're just preparing for the 20-minute flow. So now we're going to move on. We're going to allow our feet to touch. We're going to interlace our hands behind our head like a pillow. And we're going to do these warm-up breaths. They're actually abdominal crunches. So we're going to inhale. You're going to take a big inhale through the nose. Roll your chin towards your sternum and lift your shoulder blades off the floor. And just give it a squeeze. You're going to exhale out. And that's it. We're going to repeat this multiple times, whatever feels best for you. So you're going to inhale to take it down. You're going to reset and then exhale to come up. And remember that flow with your breath. And feel your abdominal muscles engaging at the bottom. Your muscles are toning and flushing your digestive organs. So it could be bloating issues or blockages. This is just a good way to remove all of that. So this is a great warm-up. And something I also like about this warm-up is that it's gentle. Usually I do crunches. I used to force myself beyond this. Just lifting your shoulder blades off of the floor is the best way to execute an abdominal crunch. And I didn't learn that until I started to study Pilates with a teacher one-on-one. But we got that. So now we're going to bring our knees in to our rib cage. We're going to do a squeeze. We're going to rock and roll up. Cross the ankles, plant the hands, and we're going to be in our first downward facing dog. Just opening the hands to melt the heart towards the feet, unlock the knees, and put some weight in the back of the heels. And we're going to move up to our tippy toes just to prepare. Walk the feet up between the thumbs. We're going to inhale to take a halfway lift. We're going to exhale, grabbing our ankles and pulling ourselves closer to ourselves. We're going to make some contact with ourselves. Rubbing your heart, lifting the gaze. I'm going to move back a little because I want to make sure that I'm in frame. I feel like I was too close. Way too close. So I'm trying to reset and massaging my own muscles before we sweep the arms up over the head. Go back down. Deep breath. Halfway rise. Reconnecting with the breath. Just inhaling and exhaling. Going back through the vinyasa flow. Lifting our heart like a turtle coming out of the shell. Going back to the downward facing dog. And this is one of my favorite exercises. We're going to just pull the knee to the opposite elbow. Remember, everything we do to one side, we do to the other. So you're still returning to that downward facing dog, but you're going to pull the knees to the opposite side. It's like a low belly workout. You're just aiming in a direction. You don't have to touch all the way. Just aim it in a direction. And after that, we're just going to just drop our hips from side to side. This is a simple exercise, but it felt really good to do. This is going to start firing up your arms and your abs to get us ready. You can reset your feet. You walk up. Halfway lift. Pulling our hearts closer. Sweeping our arms up. Bringing our hands to heart center. Before we exhale into the forward fold, lifting halfway up, coming right back down. So you see how all of this is repetitive. So your body and your breath will start moving to your advantage. Back to the downward facing dog. Back to our knees to the opposite elbow. And remember, you don't have to touch. Just aiming in that direction. We just want to warm up the body fully in the beginning of our workout. This is one of my favorites. This is something I'll just do isolated without doing the entire yoga flow. And then we're going to jump back into sliding our hips from side to side. It feels good. It feels good. Being on the tippy toes allows the execution to work, and being on the floor, because I have this like baby mat, it's easier for my body to slide. But we're going to do halfway lift. We're going to exhale, grabbing our arms. Then we're going to jump into chair pose. This is really going to engage and fire the glutes. Try to get as deep as you possibly can. Lifting your arms up. And then we're going to do these torso twists on one side, and we're going to hold it for a few seconds before lifting up in our chair and twisting to the opposite side. So just raising your arms, dropping your hips, and we got it. We're going to lift up, do that forward fold, halfway lift, back down to the chaturanga. It's all the flow. Remember, it's all repetitive. And allow your breath to move through you. Don't force any movements. Downward facing dog. Step into that warrior. My scarf is coming off. Hands up. Hands to chest center. Once my scarf falls off, I get a little disoriented. I know I got to fix it. But we're in warrior. Stay in your lunge pose. And focus. I love to focus in this position. It just helps me clear my mind. Waterfall, the arms down. Then we're going to go back through our chaturanga. Lift your heart. Remember, everything we do to one side, we do to the other. So after this downward facing dog, guess what? The opposite foot. And we go right back into that warrior. Bring in the hands to heart center. Just grounding and rooting ourselves. If you can imagine your feet planted, that solid, and staying in a lunge. Right back through our flow. Downward facing dog. Stepping up. Halfway lift. Rolling over and back into the chair. So make sure you engage the glutes when you're in the chair. Lift the arms up and twist. Lift the arms up and twist. We're exhaling as we roll over, halfway lift, back down through our flow. Knees down first, lift the heart, and breathe through all of it. Downward facing dog. Back into our warrior. Step that foot up, hands above head, drop it to heart center. Stay in a lunge pose. What we're going to do is clasp our fingers, interlock our fingers, and we're going to pull that shoulder to the opposite knee, to the inside of the knee, and just feel that stretch. Breathe through that stretch. Then we're going to do an opposite, reverse warrior, and breathe into this as well. When we windmill the hands down. No, one more stretch. Woo. Then we windmill the hands down, knees down, chest up. You know what we do? Everything to one side, we do to the other. So we're into downward facing dog. Step that foot up, opposite foot. Get into our warrior. Hands above head. Hands to heart center, hands in position, interlock those fingers, pull that shoulder to the inside of our knee and just breathe. Reverse warrior. And we're going to stretch through this, stretch through our entire side. Windmill the hands down, feet back, knees down, chest down. Chaturanga. Lift the heart. It's my favorite thing about yoga. It's so repetitive. It's new, but at the same time, I feel like your mind and body just clicks. It's effortless because you're doing the same movements. So I'm trying to perfect my chair and twist. And the more I do it, I don't know how you feel, but I know the more that I do this movement, my body's just ready and prepared. It doesn't feel as antsy now that I'm in the middle of the workout. But when I first started, the chair was like a little struggle for me. Chaturanga again, lifting the heart. While you're doing these exercises, if you could actually visualize your breath moving through your body, I think that's also helpful. We're going to go into our poses again. Go into the warrior, place the foot, lift the hands, get in position, interlock the fingers. And yes, we're going to stretch. I'm envisioning the breath going from my ankles to my back, through my fingertips. We're in the reverse warrior. And the entire time I'm focused on me and my breath. So I love yoga. Now we're going to do a new movement. We're going to drop the knee, the back knee, and we're going to do a twist to the opposite side. So we're going to drop that right knee and we're twisting to the left side. Hands on the opposite side of each foot. And we're really in a lunge position at this moment. But what we want to do is, we want to create like a T with our body as if we're trying to fit between a screen door and a door. Something I love about these balancing exercises because it allows me to understand that the balance is coming from underneath. Sometimes I get so tense that I want to hold everything. But really, if I stabilize my foot and bend my knee a little, I'm able to stretch more. So we're going to do same thing on the other side. Place the foot, lift our hands to heart center, get in position, interlock our fingers, and we're going to stretch again. And all this is preparation. All of this is preparation. Reverse warrior. Dropping that back knee and twisting. This is a prayer twist. So same way we have our hands at heart center, we're just bringing them to the side and we're back into this little stretch. Remember I said balancing is tricky, but it's helpful when you're grounding yourself. And just imagine your whole body lifting, even just that one side. You don't have to maximize it or minimize it. Just do what's most comfortable for you at this moment. And I like to drag my toes up. I don't just like pull them up. But we're going to do this flow again. Downward facing dog. And we're exhaling here. Inhaling and exhaling. The breath is moving. Because we got this. Like we know what we're doing now. I always like to take extra time with the downward facing dog. I feel like it's good for my blood circulation. That's something I also work on within my personal health regimen. So I love the downward facing dog for that. We're going to step up. Halfway lift. Exhale. We're in that chair again. Now this is really look like I'm sitting in a chair now because we practiced this cycle for a few repetitions. I want to say repetitions. I just want to make sure you can see me before finishing the workout. Knees down, chest down, chaturanga. Lifting the heart. Downward facing dog. Get on my tippy toes. And now we're in a plank position. So we're preparing for our next workout. Going to drop to the forearms. And just allow us to breathe in this position before moving forward. Just balance the forearm plank. And now we're going to be lifting our knees to the elbows. This is similar to the exercise we did earlier. And this feels crazy, but it's one of those things that I know I'll appreciate at the end. And my form could be a little better, but this is where I'm at now. Now I'm in a child's pose. Whew, I needed that. After that little workout, you need that. That's another reason why I love yoga. Less is more. I don't have to do all of the weights to still feel the endurance throughout my body. So we're just gonna chill in child's pose for a while. Let my head touch the floor just so I could reset. And also see how quickly I could get my resting heart rate back before we jump into this again. And here we go. Plank position. And then we're just gonna get those knees to touch those elbows. And remember, you don't have to touch as long as you're aiming in that direction. Here you're going to get the feel of the workout. These are like little fire hydrants. And back into child's pose. Back into resetting my breath. Whew. Child's pose is always a great way to reset, but I'm simultaneously trying to calm my breath down because that was a struggle for me. Just finding my breath. And as long as you guys can see me, you can do this your way at home. But this is going to be our cool down. What we're going to do here, I'm making sure I'm sitting on my sit bones. So I like lift my butt a little. So I'm going to reach up and I'm going to exhale to bend over. And something about this move that I love is that this is for you. This is the furthest that you can go. Don't push yourself or don't feel like you have to have your forehead on the floor. This is a great stretch. It's a natural stretch. So that's why like the feet are relaxed. Made sure that I was on my sit bones prior to engaging. But this is the best way to cool down. Just tucking the chin and just stretching the spine where I am. Remember, yoga doesn't want to change you. Yoga doesn't even want to fix you because it doesn't think anything's wrong with you in the first place. It's just breathing with you. It's my favorite thing about yoga. You don't have to pressure yourself at all. But the more you develop your practice, you'll have different lengths that you'll want to go to. But yeah, this is our cool down. So now we're going to lie on our backs. and just relax. This is my favorite part of the yoga class. Just relaxing, just inhaling slowly. This is our final resting pose. Just open your legs, get your feet apart, open your hands and your shoulders, and your hips become heavy. Just fall into the floor. Like imagine yourself as a puddle and just relax. This is like you being weightless, shapeless, formless. Just take rest and enjoy all that movement your breath just did through your body. You have the opportunity to stay longer if you choose, but this is the close of our class. Just gonna turn your head from side to side. Sweep your arms over your head and your heart, just like you're waking up in the morning or waking up from a nap. Slide your knees up. Give yourself one last big squeeze. Rock and roll yourself all the way up. We're going to close in a seated pose. Bringing the thumbs to heart center as a sign of gratitude. I'm going to do a couple of more stretches here because this felt so good. Remember, this is a 20-minute vinyasa flow, and all you need is a mat and yourself. If you're home, you have carpet, you can do it on carpet. If you don't have a mat, don't let the equipment that you don't have stifle you. You got this.